What if I told you that the secret to eternal youth might not be hidden in some ancient elixir, but in the very foods you eat every single day? Imagine that three simple vegetables, yes, vegetables most people consider healthy, could quietly be draining your energy, clouding your perception, and blocking your path toward true awakening. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? And yet that's exactly what one of the most mysterious minds of the last century hinted at. Jacobo Grinberg. Grinberg was no ordinary researcher. He wasn't just a psychologist tucked away in a university office. He was a man obsessed with unlocking the hidden dimensions of human consciousness. Born in Mexico, trained in science, yet deeply influenced by shamanic traditions, he dedicated his life to exploring what lies beyond the visible. He believed that our reality isn't as solid as it seems, that our minds, our energy, and our choices constantly shape it. And food, according to him, is one of the invisible levers of that creation. But here's where the story gets interesting. Grinberg's research wasn't about fad diets or modern nutrition trends. He wasn't telling you to cut carbs or track calories. No, he was uncovering something far more profound. That certain foods, specifically three vegetables, carry vibrations that can weigh down your spirit. They can tether you to a lower frequency, keeping you trapped in cycles of aging, confusion, and missed opportunities for awakening. Think of it like trying to climb a mountain while someone secretly ties rocks to your backpack. You might keep moving forward, but you'll never truly reach the summit. And here's the dramatic twist. These forbidden vegetables are not exotic or rare. They're common. You've probably eaten them this week, maybe even today. In many cultures, they're praised for flavor, for health, even for healing. Yet Grinberg and other ancient traditions suggest that beneath the surface, these foods stir something darker: restlessness, aggression, clouded thinking. They fuel the body's instincts, but starve the soul's clarity. So why should you care? Because eternal youth, as Grinberg described it, isn't just about looking young. It's about staying vibrant, creative, and spiritually awake. Eternal youth is a state where your body feels light, your mind stays sharp, and your inner energy flows without blockage. It's the ability to live each day with presence, vitality, and a spark that others lose as they grow older. And if three vegetables could be standing in the way of that, wouldn't you want to know which ones they are? Grinberg's story adds another layer of suspense. He mysteriously disappeared in 1994. Leaving behind research that was never fully completed, never fully explained. Some say his disappearance was tied to the secrets he was uncovering, about consciousness, about energy, and yes, about the ways we unknowingly cut ourselves off from higher states of being. Was he silenced? Did he step into another reality he so often wrote about? We may never know, but what we do know is that his teachings remain, and they point us toward a hidden truth. What you put in your body shapes the destiny of your soul. In this video, we'll walk through the three forbidden vegetables Jacobo Grinberg warned about. You'll learn why they can block your spiritual growth, how they subtly accelerate aging, and what you can do instead to keep your energy open and flowing. We'll connect modern science with ancient wisdom, revealing insights that most people overlook, and by the end, you'll have the knowledge not only to avoid these silent obstacles, but also to step closer to the vitality and awakening that Grinberg believed was possible for all of us. So stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to hear could change the way you think about food, energy, and the future of your own life. Welcome to Awakened Synchronicity, a channel where hidden truths meet practical wisdom, and where the forgotten teachings of Jacobo Grinberg come alive again. If you're ready to unlock your inner power, if you're ready to step into a life of clarity, energy, and awakening, then make sure you subscribe right now. Let's begin this journey together. Before we talk about the three forbidden vegetables, we need to pause and understand two ideas that Jacobo Grinberg often returned to: eternal youth and spiritual awakening. These words sound big, almost mystical, but what do they really mean? And why did Grinberg believe they were connected in such an unusual way? When most people hear the phrase eternal youth, their minds go straight to smooth skin, wrinkle-free faces, and the dream of never growing old. But Grinberg wasn't talking about cosmetics or beauty tricks. He meant something much deeper. Eternal youth, in his view, was a state of being where the body, the mind, and the spirit worked together in perfect harmony. It wasn't about stopping the clock. It was about making time irrelevant. Imagine feeling energy pulsing through your body as if you were 20 years younger, your mind clear and focused like a sharp blade, and your spirit glowing with curiosity and joy. That's the kind of youth Grinberg pointed toward. He often described vitality as a form of energy, not just a biological process. Think about it. You've probably met someone who looks young but feels tired, drained, heavy. And then there are people much older who seem to radiate light, passion, and presence. Eternal youth, in this context, is not trapped in the body's appearance. It's measured by the energy you carry, the clarity of your thoughts, and the brightness of your inner fire. Grinberg's claim was that we can cultivate this state, but only if we stop feeding ourselves the things that drag us away from it. Now, spiritual awakening. This is another term that's often thrown around, but Grinberg gave it a very precise meaning. Awakening, to him, was about expanding awareness beyond the limits of the ego. It was about stepping out of the small prison of me, my problems, my fears, and realizing that consciousness is much bigger, infinite even. It's when you stop seeing yourself as just a body moving through time and begin to sense that you are part of a vast lattice of energy and perception. Awakening is not a belief, it's an experience. It's the quiet moment when you suddenly see the connections between all things. It's the inner light that switches on, reminding you that reality is not fixed but fluid, and you are a co-creator of it. Letting go of the ego was central to Grinberg's idea of awakening. The ego, he believed, is like a veil over the eyes. It makes you identify only with your struggles, your past, your limited self. When you peel that veil away, you begin to live from a much higher place. You see the sacredness in ordinary life. You realize that joy, peace, and clarity are not rewards given to you by the world. They're already inside you. Awakening is simply removing the dust that covers them. So where do these two concepts, eternal youth and spiritual awakening, intersect? Grinberg insisted that they are two sides of the same coin. Eternal youth is not possible without awakening, and awakening cannot blossom fully without vitality. Think of it as a flame. The body provides the fuel, the spirit provides the spark, and the mind provides the clarity to direct the fire. If one part is poisoned, the flame weakens, and this is where food enters the picture. According to Grinberg, some foods nourish not only the body but also the subtle energies that support awakening. Others, however, weigh us down. They create blockages, dull the mind, and make the spirit restless. He believed that 3 specific vegetables common in everyday diets have vibrations that cloud perception. On the surface, they may seem harmless or even healthy, but energetically, they push the body into states of heaviness, agitation, or lethargy. And when the body is heavy, the mind becomes cloudy. When the mind is cloudy, the spirit cannot shine through. This is the key to understanding Grinberg's link. Eternal youth depends on a steady flow of life energy. Awakening depends on the clarity of consciousness. But if certain foods create turbulence in your system, both the flow and the clarity are compromised. You might age faster, not because of time, but because your energy is blocked. You might struggle to meditate, not because you lack discipline, but because what you've eaten has altered the subtle chemistry of your awareness. Grinberg's perspective was daring. He wasn't just saying, eat healthy and live longer. He was suggesting that food could literally alter the architecture of consciousness. That a simple choice on your plate could either open or close the doors of perception. And while modern nutrition rarely speaks this language, ancient traditions echo the same idea. Yogic texts warn about foods that stimulate the lower instincts, Mystical traditions often emphasize purity of diet as a foundation for clarity of thought. Grinberg was weaving this timeless wisdom into a modern context, pointing out that eternal youth and awakening are not mysteries, they are natural states we lose when we live unconsciously. And so, before we reveal the vegetables that Grinberg warned against, it's crucial to keep this connection in mind. Eternal youth is more than health. Awakening is more than philosophy. Both are intertwined, both are fragile, and both can be shaped by something as simple as what we choose to eat. The first vegetable on Jacobo Grinberg's forbidden list might surprise you. It is spinach, a leafy green celebrated across the world as a superfood. Known in kitchens everywhere, spinach finds its way into salads, soups, and juices. From Western diets to Asian cuisines, it is praised for strength, iron, and health. Yet behind its reputation lies something that Grinberg saw as troubling. He warned that spinach carries an energetic weight that most people overlook. On the surface, it nourishes the body, but on the subtle level, it burdens the spirit. Spinach, he explained, contains compounds that overstimulate the digestive system and flood the body with density. It anchors the energy downward, keeping awareness tied to the lower centers of the body. Instead of allowing consciousness to rise, it drags it down, much like a stone tied to a balloon. People who consume spinach regularly may feel heavy, restless, or unable to focus during meditation. Their mind may wander, their breathing may grow shallow, and their subtle perception dims. In Grinberg's terms, spinach feeds the physical but clouds the energetic body. It is like eating fuel that powers the machine but fills the room with smoke, making it impossible to see clearly. The consequences ripple into daily life. Those who depend on spinach often experience quick bursts of energy followed by fatigue. The body may feel strong, yet the mind struggles to remain calm and centered. Energetically, the vibration of spinach is low, almost coarse, which interferes with the delicate frequencies of higher awareness. In meditation or spiritual practice, even small amounts can create inner turbulence. Grinberg was not condemning spinach as poison. He was pointing out that its vibration is incompatible with the path toward awakening and eternal youth. The second vegetable is carrots, another food most of us see as harmless, even beneficial. Carrots, with their bright orange color, are symbols of health. They are served raw as snacks, cooked in stews, and even juiced for their sweetness. They are praised for improving vision and cleansing the body. But Grinberg looked at carrots through a very different lens. He saw them not as a food that lifts the spirit, but as one that ties the consciousness tightly to physical instincts. Carrots, being a root vegetable, grow hidden in the earth. They draw their energy downward, embedding themselves in soil. This same downward pull, Grinberg said, transfers to the human body when eaten. Instead of elevating awareness, carrots bind it to the ground. They intensify physical desires and reinforce attachment to material experiences. People who consume carrots in excess may notice an increase in restlessness, impatience, or emotional swings. The sweetness of carrots feeds cravings, but on an energetic level, it stimulates the lower centers, particularly those connected with survival and desire. The physical body may enjoy the vitamins, but the subtle body feels weighed down. In spiritual practice, carrots disrupt balance. Instead of stillness, they invite chatter of the mind. Instead of lightness, they encourage a dull heaviness. For Grinberg, carrots were an example of how food could deceive. They seem healthy, but in the quest for awakening, they create inner fog. Eternal youth requires clarity, yet carrots fill the system with subtle agitation. The body may thrive, but the consciousness struggles to rise above the noise. The third vegetable on Grinberg's list is broccoli. Known as a cruciferous vegetable, broccoli is a staple in modern healthy diets. It is steamed, roasted, or blended into smoothies. People eat it for its fiber, antioxidants, and cancer-fighting properties. It has been glorified as one of the healthiest foods in the modern world. But in Grinberg's perspective, broccoli hides an energetic shadow. Broccoli carries a sharp, pungent vibration. Its compounds, while protective on a biological level, stimulate the body in ways that disturb subtle balance. It creates gas, bloating, and heaviness in digestion. On an energetic level, it produces turbulence in the flow of prana, or life energy. Instead of moving smoothly through the channels, the energy gets interrupted, scattered, and unstable. Grinberg noted that people who consume broccoli regularly may find it difficult to sit still in meditation. Their breathing becomes irregular, their mind distracted, and their awareness pulled toward the physical discomfort of the body. The strong odor and taste of broccoli also reflect its vibration. Foods with overpowering scents, he argued, tend to anchor awareness to the physical senses. They reinforce the dominance of smell and taste over subtle perception. Instead of quieting the mind, broccoli amplifies sensory input. The result is a body that may feel nourished, but a spirit that is unable to rise into higher states of clarity. Broccoli, like spinach and carrots, traps energy in the lower centers, keeping consciousness tied to survival and sensory experience. When we look at these three vegetables together, spinach, carrots, and broccoli, a pattern emerges. Each of them, though outwardly healthy, carries qualities that interfere with spiritual elevation. Spinach is dense and heavy, clouding the subtle body. Carrots are sweet and grounding, reinforcing attachment to material instincts. Broccoli is pungent and turbulent, scattering energy and blocking stillness. They are different in form, leaf, root, and crucifer, but similar in impact. What they share is an energetic vibration that resists the flow of consciousness upward. They each bind awareness to the body, anchoring it in the physical. Spinach pulls downward with heaviness. Carrots stimulate cravings and desires. Broccoli agitates the senses and disturbs balance. Together, they represent the hidden ways in which food can shape not just health but perception itself. Grinberg's warning was not to create fear, but to encourage awareness. By recognizing the common themes in these vegetables, one begins to see the subtle mechanics of diet. Foods are not only nutrients, they are vibrations, frequencies that interact with the human system. When chosen unconsciously, they can keep a person locked in cycles of fatigue, desire, and confusion. But when recognized for what they are, these foods reveal how easily we give away our clarity without realizing it. Spinach, carrots, broccoli, three ordinary vegetables, praised in every health guide, yet quietly undermining the very qualities that eternal youth and awakening depend on. They appear innocent, even virtuous, but in the language of energy, they are heavy, grounding, and disruptive. This shared theme, Grinberg believed, was proof that not all foods celebrated by science are aligned with the higher path. Some nourish the body while quietly starving the spirit. When Jacobo Grinberg spoke of forbidden vegetables, many dismissed the idea as strange, even radical. But if we look across history and culture, his warnings don't stand in isolation. Many spiritual traditions around the world have long pointed to food as a bridge, or a barrier, between the physical and the spiritual. In fact, what might sound unusual today was once seen as essential wisdom. Take yoga traditions from India. Yogic philosophy divides food into three categories: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic foods are light, pure, and uplifting. Fruits, grains, milk, and fresh vegetables that calm the mind and prepare it for meditation. Rajasic foods like onions, garlic, and spicy roots stir restlessness, desire, and overactivity. Tamasic foods such as stale or heavy meals breed lethargy and dullness. According to this framework, the goal is to eat sattvic food that supports clarity and calmness, while avoiding rajasic and tamasic items that weigh the spirit down. This view resonates strongly with Grinberg's insight. Not all vegetables elevate, some disrupt the very balance needed for awakening. In Jainism, the connection goes even further. Devout Jains avoid root vegetables altogether, carrots, onions, garlic, potatoes, and others, because uprooting them harms countless microorganisms in the soil. But beyond ethics, there is a spiritual dimension. Roots are believed to trap the soul in cycles of desire and attachment. They are seen as heavy foods that bind awareness to the earth. Hindus practicing strict forms of devotion often avoid garlic and onions for similar reasons, saying they stimulate passion and restlessness, disturbing meditation. The parallels are striking. Across these traditions, the warning is the same. Some foods ground you so firmly in the body that they close the door to higher states. Even outside of India, echoes of this wisdom exist. Monastic diets in Christian traditions emphasize simplicity, fasting, and avoiding foods that excite the senses. Buddhist monks often follow a plant-based diet stripped of strong flavors that could inflame cravings. The idea is consistent. Clarity of mind comes when the body is nourished without being overstimulated. When Grinberg pointed to spinach, carrots, and broccoli, he was not inventing a new superstition. He was aligning with a current of wisdom that cultures have whispered for centuries, that food is never just food. Modern research is beginning to catch up to these ancient intuitions. Studies published on platforms like ResearchGate and in journals archived by PubMed Central, PMC, reveal fascinating links between diet, spirituality, and health. Reviews have shown that people with higher levels of spirituality or religiosity often consume more fruits and vegetables and less alcohol or processed food. The relationship is complex, but the pattern is clear. When the mind is focused on clarity and higher purpose, the body naturally gravitates toward lighter, plant-based nourishment. One systematic review noted that fruit and vegetable intake was positively associated with spiritual well-being. It suggested that eating fresh, vibrant foods may enhance mood, reduce stress, and support mindfulness, qualities central to awakening. Another study linked diet to cognitive clarity, showing how certain foods can influence neurotransmitters that affect perception and thought. This aligns beautifully with Grinberg's claim: what enters the body changes the way consciousness unfolds. So how might spinach, carrots, and broccoli, the vegetables he warned against, actually impede awakening? Let's break it down through the lens of energy and science. Spinach, while nutrient-dense, is high in oxalates. These compounds can bind minerals and interfere with absorption, leading to subtle deficiencies over time. But beyond the physical, oxalates contribute to heaviness and tension in the body. That heaviness translates into a lack of stillness in meditation. Instead of floating into clarity, the practitioner feels anchored by invisible weights. Carrots, rich in natural sugars, can spike blood glucose when consumed in excess, causing fluctuations in energy and mood. These swings create restlessness. One moment alert, the next drowsy. Spiritually, that translates into an unstable awareness. The sweetness feeds craving, reinforcing attachment to sensory pleasure. Instead of silence and presence, the mind seeks more stimulation. Broccoli, a cruciferous vegetable, contains sulfur compounds that cause bloating and gas in many people. The discomfort is physical, but the consequence is spiritual. It becomes difficult to sit in stillness, to focus the mind, or to breathe deeply. Meditation, which requires subtle awareness, gets derailed by the body's turbulence. The sharp taste and odor of broccoli also anchor attention to the senses, making it harder to move inward. Together, these disturbances create a feedback loop. Physical reactions, heaviness, cravings, discomfort, spill into mental states, generating distraction, impatience, and confusion. Those mental states ripple into the energetic body, clouding perception and weakening the flow of prana. The result is a chain reaction. Diet shapes body, body shapes mind, mind shapes spirit. This is the cycle Grinberg wanted people to notice. But what can be done instead? If these common foods disturb awakening, what alternatives support it? Grinberg pointed toward lighter, more vibrant options. Fruits, especially those high in water content like melons, berries, and grapes, carry a luminous vibration. They hydrate, cleanse, and energize without burdening the system. Leafy greens that are softer and less dense than spinach, such as lettuce or tender herbs, can refresh without grounding awareness. Root vegetables can be replaced with grains or legumes that provide stability without pulling energy too far down. Beyond substitution, there are practices of purification, detoxifying with simple diets of fruit and water. For short periods allows the body to reset. Mindful eating, where each bite is taken slowly and consciously, shifts the relationship with food from compulsion to presence. Fasting, whether partial or full, has been used in nearly every tradition as a way to cleanse both body and spirit. These practices, when combined with meditation and breathwork, help to release the energetic imprints left behind by heavier foods. It's also important to recognize that food is only one part of the path. Grinberg himself emphasized that consciousness is vast, and while diet plays a role, it is not the sole key to eternal youth or awakening. Meditation, breath awareness, and practices of attention remain central. Food can either support or sabotage these practices, but it cannot replace them. And so comes the matter of balance. Each individual body is different. What drags one person down may not affect another in the same way. Genetics, culture, and environment all shape how food interacts with energy. Extreme restriction, done without wisdom, can lead to obsession or even harm. The point is not to fear every bite, but to become aware of how different foods influence your state of being. If spinach leaves you restless, if carrots stir craving, if broccoli makes meditation heavy, pay attention. Awareness itself is the guide. Grinberg's perspective invites a shift. Instead of thinking of food only as calories and nutrients, see it as vibration and consciousness. Instead of blindly following what modern health trends celebrate, begin listening to your own inner feedback. Notice how you feel after eating. Notice what foods make meditation lighter or heavier. Notice what supports presence and what triggers distraction. In this way, the diet becomes a tool for awakening, not just survival. The science is catching up, but the traditions already knew. From yogis avoiding onions to Jains leaving roots in the earth, from monks choosing simple grains to mystics fasting in solitude, the wisdom repeats itself. Food shapes perception. Food shapes energy. Food shapes the possibility of eternal youth. And while Jacobo Grinberg's forbidden vegetables may raise eyebrows, they also open a doorway to re-examining what we put on our plates and how it silently sculpts the reality we live in. We've now walked through the mystery of the 3 forbidden vegetables that Jacobo Grinberg warned us about: spinach, carrots, and broccoli. On the surface, they look innocent. They're praised in almost every modern health guide. Doctors, nutritionists, and wellness blogs celebrate them for their vitamins, minerals, and so-called healing power. Yet Grinberg saw beyond the physical. He looked at food not only as nutrition for the body, but as vibration for the spirit. And through that lens, these 3 common vegetables reveal their hidden weight. Spinach, he explained, brings density. It fills the body with heaviness, pulling the energy downward, away from clarity. Carrots, though sweet and rich in color, anchor awareness to the earth, fueling cravings and stirring desires. Broccoli, with its pungent compounds, scatters the flow of energy, creating turbulence and restlessness in both body and mind. Each vegetable has its own way of disrupting the subtle harmony that awakening requires. Alone, they may not seem significant, but together they show us a pattern. Even foods celebrated by science can quietly disturb the deeper path of consciousness. Now, it's important to understand that Jacobo Grinberg was never saying diet alone creates awakening. He wasn't reducing spirituality to a menu. What he revealed was something more profound. Diet can either support or sabotage the inner journey. Spiritual awakening is not a quick fix, not a single decision, and not something you achieve overnight. It is a lifelong unfolding. It is a gradual shift from living unconsciously to seeing reality as it truly is, fluid, connected, alive. Eternal youth, in his teaching, was never just about skin or age. It was about vitality, creativity, clarity, and the glow of a spirit that remains awake no matter how many years pass. That's why food matters, because the body is the instrument of the spirit. If the strings of a guitar are loose, the music will sound broken. If the body is heavy, agitated, or restless, the spirit struggles to shine. By removing foods that cloud awareness and replacing them with those that nourish clarity, you are fine-tuning your instrument. You are preparing the ground for awakening to grow. But here's the empowering truth. You don't need to change everything overnight. Eternal youth and awakening are not all or nothing paths. They are built on small, consistent steps. Notice what you eat. Notice how you feel after certain meals. Experiment. Replace spinach with lighter greens. Choose fruits that refresh rather than roots that weigh you down. Listen closely to your body and spirit. They are always speaking. Most of us have simply forgotten how to listen. This journey is about awareness. Every mindful choice adds up. Every moment of reflection strengthens clarity. Every step you take toward balance, whether through diet, meditation, or breath, brings you closer to the spark of youth and awakening that is already within you. So now I invite you to reflect what foods give you energy and what foods take it away, what meals make meditation easy, and what meals leave your mind restless. Share your experiences in the comments. I would love to hear your story. This is not just about Jacobo Grinberg's teachings. It is about creating a living dialogue, a community where we can learn from each other's paths and discoveries. If you found this video meaningful, if it opened even one new perspective for you, then let's keep walking this path together. Like this video, to help it reach more seekers who might also be ready for these truths. And make sure you subscribe to Awaken Synchronicity, where we continue exploring the hidden wisdom of Jacobo Grinberg and uncovering the practices that can transform not just your health, but your entire reality. Your awakening begins with awareness, and awareness begins now. The path forward is open, and you already carry the strength to walk it.